I had a conversation with someone the other day and I was like, are you running Facebook ads? They're like, yeah, of course. And they don't work. And I was like, really? And she's like, yeah, I boost posts all the time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's not running a Facebook ad.
Welcome to the latest episode of Over a Pint. This week, I'm excited to have Jess Lenouvel on here from the Listing Lab. So for those who aren't familiar with you, why don't you introduce yourself quickly?
For sure. So I'm Jess. I born and raised in Toronto. I've had my real estate license for 15, 16 years now. I'm really excited to be here. I founded the Listings Lab several years ago and stopped selling. So I've got the whole experience of the real estate selling side of things. And then obviously now I teach marketing.
Nice. And what are you drinking today?
I wish that I could tell you that it was something really fun.
Yeah.
It's not. I'm still on the clock today.
Yeah.
So I've got a little bit of a mix, but it's pretty light.
Yeah. That's okay. We've had people come on and just do like kale smoothies. It's fine.
Oh, really? Oh no, that's not fun at all.
Yeah. I went with the local delivery from Market Brewery because they
Nice.
do home deliveries now with COVID. So I was like, well, that makes my life easier. I realized yesterday all I had was non-alcoholic beer. So I was like, I need to get something. I don't have time
That's
to go
hilarious. I would never think to drink non-alcoholic beer.
So I did 75 hard, and I was like, just in case I film episodes during it where I'm not allowed to drink,
okay,
I'll get non-alcoholic beer. And then like Danny Wood, if you know him, has come on the show. He doesn't drink, so we did non-alcoholic beer for him.
Got it.
So I've done a few like that, but yeah, no, generally non-alcoholic.
Okay.
Beer. Some of it's surprisingly actually pretty good. You wouldn't even know.
I don't believe you.
There's a couple. I'm not going to suggest we try them next time we film in person, but
okay.
We'll go real beer then. So
sounds good.
All right. So when did you first get in the industry?
So I was about 21. I was straight out of school. I have a degree in African and Caribbean studies. So
real estate.
Yeah. Perfect. And my mom was basically like, what are you going to do with your life? And I was like, I don't know. I'll figure it out. And she'd been in the industry at that point for about 20 years. So she's like, get your license. I think you'll be good at it. See if you like it. And it just sort of all kind of happened that way. I just sort of fell into the industry. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I had been doing her paperwork for years.
So on that front.
Yeah, I was good on like the paperwork front. I kind of grew up in the industry. I was the kid that was like, this is going to date me so much, but before GPS and all of that, I was the one that she'd hand me her Pearlie's map book and be like, okay, so this is where we're going, find me the house. So, I'd been dragged around a lot in real estate. So I think I definitely knew more than I thought that I knew.
Yeah. I remember when I started, so before real estate and construction, I had to go to all the different job sites.
Yeah.
And that was it. Like I'd go into MapQuest and then print out MapQuest into a piece of paper.
Yeah.
I could drive around with a MapQuest printout.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it was, I remember when, thinking her pager was, I remember getting my pager and thinking my pager was the coolest thing in the world, but yeah, no, it was a long time ago.
Yeah. A few years. So like so you had like your mom, like, did you join your mom like as a team right away or did you do your own thing?
I tried to. She was actually really great about it. She sort of pushed me out on my own. I think a lot of the time she just didn't really want me to just rely on her. So I started prospecting and doing some stuff on my own. She'd bring me in every once in a while. I kind of got to shadow her a lot and I learned a lot of the business from her. She's terrible at paperwork though, like so terrible. So I kind of took over that side of things. She had a business partner at the time. And so she continued working with her business partner and I just sort of shadowed and followed them around.
Yeah. And so how long did it take you to get your first sale?
My first deal actually happened relatively quickly. It was a deal that I got brought into with my mom actually. And it was, it was $1 million house. And I don't know why the couple really trusted me. Yeah. Really trusted my opinion. They were really nervous and my mom could see, I was just supposed to be shadowing and my mom could see how comfortable they were with me. And so she's like, look, like, let's just bring in And I loved it, got that first paycheck. And that's where real estate started, because I was like, oh, I can make a lot of money doing this.
Yeah. It took me 6 months for my first one.
Okay.
And then well, I did like 10, 11 leases before that,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
whatever. Good experience, and I guess I still paid my mortgage. But yeah, it was like that 6 months of that first deal. Then you finally get it. You're like, oh, this is so sweet.
This is so sweet. No, for sure. And I blew it, of course. I was so young. I blew it on shoes.
So how are you going about getting business?
So I started off at Keller Williams, and I went to all the trainings, and I sat through all the trainings, and I was like, I'm not going to do any of these things. And, I went door knocking, I think once or twice, and I got chased down someone's driveway. And I was like, no, this is just, it's not for me. I'm extremely introverted. I can turn it on and I can, but at the end of the day, that was just, especially back then. I've come out of my shell a lot more since then, but like back then, like that, it felt like torture.
Yeah.
So Facebook was brand new. And we were just sort of like playing around with it. And back then there was no marketplace or anything like that. It was just classifieds. And I started just messaging people and creating relationships and giving people value and talking them through stuff when it came to, some of them were buyers and some of them were leases.
Yeah.
And I built my business that way. It was just kind of making conversation, creating value, helping people that eventually would come back and be like, hey, you've been so great. Like, do you want to actually help us?
And how long did it take you to kind of figure out what worked for you from like you get your license until you've to a degree got it figured out?
I don't think you ever fully figure it out.
That's what I said, to a degree.
I guess like I had a really steady flow like within like 6 months.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, I got really creative. I was, I provided a lot of value. I actually, back then, I didn't even realize that I was like thinking like a marketer, but I created a couple assets for buyers and things like that I would send out to people that had contact information on it. And it just sort of grew from there. But I wouldn't consider myself like a really successful agent until maybe like my last 6 years that I was selling.
Yeah, like I only ended up selling for 2.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, it felt like 18 months was when I kind of
Okay.
figured it out. It was like just as I figured out, then I got offered the job with Remax, and I was like, actually, I kind of really like this idea.
Yeah, fair enough.
And it was like I just figured it out, and it was like that edge of like runways about out from like blowing it on things that didn't work.
Yeah.
I was like, I could basically go to like real estate university, build the best referral network that's ever existed.
Yeah.
Then come back. And then I realized this is a better job than being an agent for me.
No, and that's fair enough. I mean, I was an agent for a long time and I loved it. I loved my clients, but I think when I was in my early 30s, I had a bit of like an existential crisis. And I remember thinking, I don't think that this is for me forever.
Yeah.
And so we started my husband and I started thinking about shifting thought processes on, okay, if I'm not selling real estate, because at that point we built a really great life off of my real estate business.
Did he work with you?
Yeah. Yeah. We built like this fantastic life, and we were even from from a GCI perspective, like we were in the multi-million dollars in GCI, and the thought process of, okay, like, let's go and do something and start from scratch again.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, it wasn't really even a choice. It was just something like, I was like, I have to, like, this isn't right for me anymore. But for him, I think it was terrifying.
Yeah. Which I've always had that thought, because most entrepreneurs, like, you have a million ideas of like,
oh yeah,
would like to do this. And I keep having that moment of like, yes, I've built something successful on one hand, but this just sounds really interesting to try.
Like, what do I want to do when I grow up?
Yeah. Well, that's why I joke about, like, I always say my wife has a real job. So like, I'm always almost like making fun of it, because I'm like, well, my wife has a real job. One day I need to get one of those.
Yeah. No, for sure. For sure. I mean, and I think that's the fun part of it, is that you have a million ideas, and my husband's always been so great. Eve is one of those people that he trusts me to make the right decisions from an entrepreneurial standpoint. Right. So he basically said, he's like, well, you haven't been wrong yet.
It's good trust.
let's figure it out. Right. And he again, he's like, even with the listings lab now, he's my 50-50 partner. I'm the face of the business, but you know, we own everything together.
One that I really like that you guys do, so like deep diving, or not that deep, but I did a somewhat dive into your content.
Yeah.
What I like is the simplicity of like your website is just one thing basically. Like there's not a million things, just the simplicity of like do this or don't. See you later.
For sure, for sure. And we you know we are working on a rebuild because we have three core programs, but the listings lab is our main core, the thing that people for the most part come to us for, and it's my baby.
So what
It's
is Listings Lab? Because I'm
yeah,
sure a lot of people haven't, and I know kind of what it is.
yeah, for
I
sure.
think people watching also don't know what it is.
So the listings lab, to like give it like kind of like an easy 1 or 2 lines, is it's a marketing mentorship program to teach agents how to go from 6 to 7 figures by creating relationships at scale. So everything that we do in that program is online, and it's both the organic marketing side and the paid traffic side of things. But again, it's all based around psychology and content, and how to we use a 9-point psychological journey to take someone from stranger to client.
Nice. And how like much work is it for like an agent who signs up? Because this is one that I always notice is, and there's different programs that sell it different ways. There's like the people who are like silver bullet type of marketing versus this is going to be a lot of work, but if you do it, it's worth it. Like how much work in that system is involved for the agents versus like just grabbing templates and putting them out there?
So we template anything that we believe can be templated, but I think that when it comes to content and it comes to creating like authentic relationships with people, you can't template stuff. So there's work to be done building out the system. So I would say 45 minutes a day, 45 minutes to an hour a day, 5 days a week for 2 months.
Yeah.
Then once it's built, the whole idea behind it is once it's built, it runs. And there's a lot of automation that we build in the back end of it. So the whole premise of it is do the work up front, learn it, understand it, and then once you're up and running, it will run and do its thing for you. Like I run exactly the same funnel with my own marketing. It's just, of course, the messaging, the content, like the psychology is all different. I haven't touched my funnel in 2 years.
Well, that's what I always tell people. Like the market, like when I talk about my marketing, it's stuff you agents can do too. Like,
oh, for sure.
If I went back to sales today, how I market Just Sell Homes is how I would market myself as an agent. There's no difference besides the granular content.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple like tech things that I do differently. Like we don't teach landing pages anymore to realtors, but I still use some landing pages in my stuff. But like there's some like small things, but for the most part, it's the psychological journey from stranger to client. Once you understand that and you become a prolific content creator, you're essentially unstoppable.
Yeah. And that's how I built my business. Like when I was selling, I was 3 to 5 times a week blogging. And it drove now I actually just timing wise got lucky that Google Plus for like a year was a thing that worked. And it just happened to coincidentally be when I was blogging.
Okay.
And like someone messaged me one time being like, dude, how are you killing it on Google Plus? And I was like, I have no idea what you're talking about. And I went and I had a Google Blogger was my site at the time. Because my thinking was literally just, I want to rank on Google. I'll probably just do better if I use the Google owned product.
Yeah.
My entire reasoning. And at the time, every post automatically got turned into a Google Plus post without doing anything. And those ranked quicker.
Okay.
So like I would have something rank on page 1 within 15 minutes after I hit publish.
Yeah.
Like it was unbelievable how fast it was happening. So if you look at my Google Plus profile that I'd never logged into, it was like 20 followers, 100,000 views.
Oh my God, so good. You know, it's kind of like the same thought process. Every once in a while, I'll see an agent post like a YouTube video on Facebook.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no.
Take it down.
They don't like each other.
Yeah. Post it, and then you retarget, you can get into all that fun stuff.
Yeah, but like even just posting like a YouTube link on the Facebook platform, Facebook, that's Facebook and Google. Facebook's going to drop the reach of that post right off the bat. Yeah. Right. And so it's so interesting. They're like, yeah, when I post my videos, I'm like, how are you posting your videos? Well, I'm sharing the YouTube link. And I'm like, well, just download it and upload it again.
Yeah. I remember someone actually recently asked me to do like an audit of their ads. Because like one of the service offers like a 15 minutes, you get 15 minutes only, but for free, I will audit any ads you have.
Yeah.
And they only had one ad, and it was them promoting their YouTube video on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, well, this is a really quick audit.
Don't do that.
Immediately stop. Upload the video directly.
Yeah, upload the video directly. You will get a lot more organic reach there. No, it's interesting. Just that, like the small details that I think, unfortunately, a lot of people just don't know. And it makes a huge difference. You know, my content's not doing well. Well, let's take a look at why.
So if you went back to sales, like what platforms would you mainly focus on?
I would say probably Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. If I was going to pick 3.
Yeah. And are those ones that like you would also be the ones that like you personally would use? Because like for me, like those are the ones I personally use, but I also, my Twitter is actually my favorite one, but I don't use it for work.
See, I'm not a big Twitter user, and but like my Facebook performs way better than my Instagram does.
Yeah, me too.
But I like Instagram better.
So for me, Twitter's my favorite, and it's not close, but I don't use it for work.
Yeah.
But Facebook to this day kills everything else for me. Like the other one, it actually comes up with a question someone submitted, was Clubhouse. Is like, I have a very much love-hate thing right now with Clubhouse, but it's also the quickest I've ever grown a following. Now that's slightly skewed because people from that I already grew from other followings are coming on there.
Yeah.
So it's not apples to apples in terms of growth, but like it's an interesting platform that like we've already picked clients up from it. And one of the questions was like, how do you Clubhouse successfully?
So I have a relatively strong opinion about Clubhouse. I like Clubhouse for marketers.
Yeah.
I don't like Clubhouse for agents.
Yeah, that's around where I did. So like I do my newsletter I sent out to agents. I was basically like, if you think you're getting clients, it's not going to happen on Clubhouse right now.
And most agents are, and the thing is that most agents, what they're doing in the kinds of rooms that they're involved in and the following that they're growing is just other agents.
Yeah.
So all they're doing is networking amongst the industry on Clubhouse, and that's not going to actually generate business. You know, I'm seeing some agents that I know that are spending hours and hours on Clubhouse every day. And I just keep thinking, if you spent that time on like actually like proven marketing stuff, the amount, and unfortunately, I think too, people are getting they're getting starry-eyed by like the audience growth.
Yeah. And but like for some agents, like there's a couple niches where it makes sense, like agents who do agent to agent referral, if you're in an area that gets a lot of referral.
Yeah, for sure.
But that matter, like if you're in like, well, how Newmarket, like no one's really referring that often to Newmarket. Whereas if you're in downtown Toronto, Mississauga, Calgary, Vancouver, a lot of referrals go to those areas. Then there's an argument there. But otherwise, it's like, to me, it's a 24/7 conference and that's it.
Yeah. And I think the other thing that frustrates me a little bit about Clubhouse, and I've popped into quite a few rooms, is that there's a lot of people who are unqualified to give advice, giving a lot of advice on
like
there.
Facebook groups.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think, you know, I popped into a room the other day, and it was an agent that I know who does, you know, 250,000 a year. And the topic of the room was how to build a multi-million-dollar real estate business.
Yeah.
And I just remember thinking like that there's just so much wrong with this right now.
Multi-million over how many years?
Yeah, like it's just one of those things that I was like, oh, there's just something so wrong about this. And there's just been so many people that are leading discussions and things like that, you know, so this girl, Angie, who I met when I was in California, she's an influencer she uses Instagram for most of her stuff, but she has this whole like reels thing going on about Brian, the 19-figure real, like I make 19 figures a year, and you know, with Forex and crypto, and you know, investing in many businesses, like things like that. I feel like there's just a lot of that happening on Clubhouse right now.
Yeah, it's like the guy who like runs Facebook ads and says he's in tech. You're like,
yeah. No, for sure. Yeah. I just think there's a lot of embellishment happening, and there's just a lot of people. I think the other thing too is that the last thing that most agents need is more information. and everyone's just like getting information or overload on that platform, and it's not focused and it's not curated for like where people are in their business. So I think, you know, and I know that that sounds negative, and I think that there are plus sides to Clubhouse, but I think that you have to be careful.
Yeah, and I think like it's similar with Instagram, like who you follow on Instagram, like you have to vet them basically a little
For
bit
sure.
to see if they're worth it. Like there was actually a great Twitter moment where it was like, because like Twitter or Clubhouse has only recently blown up for real estate. Like it's
Yeah.
like the last month.
Yeah.
But for like on Twitter, they've been talking about it for 8 or 9 months now because it made it through that community first. And there's a guy posted and it only went viral like 2 weeks ago, but like 200,000 likes on his tweet. And it was, I joined a Clubhouse room called How to Become a Millionaire. I asked the question to the moderators, are any of you a millionaire? And they kicked me out of the room.
Yeah, no, and that's
Like,
that's
that sums up
100% true. That summarizes it. Yeah. And I'm seeing it within the real estate space as well. Where, you know, there's a girl who about 2 years ago bought my program, tried to copy it, took the testimonials from my website, put them on her website, like just like that. And she's running rooms on, you know, on like agent lead generation and stuff with people who are actually quite well respected. And I see stuff like that, and I'm just like, you know, there's just, unfortunately, there's just too many people with a platform.
Yeah, it was like when someone started Just Sell Houses, and I was like, great.
Okay.
And same logo, he just changed the J to H, or to the J to a red. And like,
Oh, okay.
complete same logo,
Yeah, yeah.
the house. I was like, you could at least try a little bit harder.
Yeah, no, for sure, for sure. I mean, I think, unfortunately, and you know, I think that I've been pinged like a million times to join rooms with her.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, no,
Good.
I don't have anything nice to say.
Yeah, I've been in some of those, but like for me, it's more just because like the difference with Clubhouse, like you can't do it passively, really. Like you
No, and there's no content repurposing.
Yeah, like it's even the content. I'm okay with like yes, I prefer to repurpose my content, but it's like, well, at least with like a 2 and 4 year old at home, I don't have a lot of time to go and sit talk
there
to people
live
for an hour.
Yeah.
Right. Like Twitter, or Facebook or Instagram, I can like pull it up and scroll for 5 minutes. But like if I go into a room on Clubhouse, 1,000 people get notified I'm in there talking. They're going to notify 1,000 people I'm doing it. I should probably stick around for a few minutes.
Stick around for a while. Well, and that's that's the thing too, right? It's so manual, and it's so, and like everything is live, and it's not even like you can do a live like you can on Facebook and people can watch it after or listen to it after. Like once you're gone, you're gone.
Yeah, I tried to hit record on one time and I was interested that they sent a notification to my phone saying, we don't allow recording. The moderators will be allowed to ban you from the network. If you share the recording out. Because I was more just recording doing something to share to an Instagram story. And it was just like this notification. One thing I do really like about the Clubhouse people though, is I don't know if you were on Clubhouse, like it was only like 5 weeks ago, but there was this huge trend of people putting fake blue verification badges in their profile photos.
Oh, okay.
And within like 4 days, Clubhouse banned it. Like, and they set up stuff to get rid of anyone who did that.
Interesting.
So like they made
okay.
everyone remove fake verification. I was like, that's actually what I like, because not a lot of platforms move quickly.
No.
Things like that annoy users.
Yeah.
I was like, that's one that actually, because like that annoyed the hell out of me. Like I'd go into a room and it'd be like 6 speakers with verified badges. Which is literally just, it'd be like me going on Facebook and adding the blue check to my profile photo.
Yeah.
And be like, that's not a verified badge.
That's not real. Yeah, no, for sure. I think that whenever there's a new platform, the first question that people need to ask themselves is, who is my ideal client? How can I grow an audience of those people? And the thing that most realtors are doing, I wouldn't say wrong, but like maybe not the most effectively, is that they're building these audiences of other agents.
Yeah.
And for most people, like that's actually not going to make money, and it's going to end up being a really big time drain.
Well, I was interested where I was looking at page likes. We had a client who came on who had like 10,000 likes on their page, but they were a team that does like 500 deals a year.
Yeah.
And when we were actually looking at their page likes, it was half agents because they wanted to see what they were doing. You're like, that's because you kept bragging about the 10,000 likes. I'm like, they're essentially meaningless. Like, they offer you no value. Maybe they actually have value for recruiting for your team.
Yeah, if you want to keep growing or go to EXP.
Yeah. Otherwise, nothing.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think, that's the thing with most of these platforms is if most agents go through even their organic Facebook friends,
yeah,
how many of those people are agents? And how many of those people are people who could one day actually buy or sell a home with you?
And that's actually why I've had to change my personal profile, my strategy to a degree. Like I don't post on my regular feed that much about work now, because it's I have essentially three groups. Like, yes, I have the real estate industry.
Yeah.
I got like my old friends and family type of group. But then I also have, through my digital marketing circles, a huge group of digital marketers
Yeah.
who don't care about real estate content.
No.
So when I post, they're not going to engage with that stuff. So
yeah,
I'll do posts there to I think I'm up. I don't know how I've not hit the limit yet, but because I don't pay attention to that, the number of friends.
Mm.
I think I'm approaching the limit.
Yeah.
But my Facebook group with less people gets way more engagement.
Well, I think, and so does mine for sure. I think you're one of the only Facebook friends that I have that's a marketer. I kind of went through everything and I was like, who are the people that I can't get rid of because they're just like pillars of my life. Yeah. And then everyone else on my Facebook friends list is an agent.
Yeah. I've always had that debate of starting a new profile, but that's there's a lot of headaches there of doing that.
Yeah. And Facebook may catch you.
Yeah. Well, I would shut down.
Oh, okay.
Literally just starting from scratch. Because even when I look at this is interesting one. So for me, go to Twitter, for example, at one point I was up to 1,200 followers, which, okay, it's fine. I don't post that often, but almost all of them were from back when I was a trainer. I would do sessions on how to use Twitter. Everyone in the room would follow me. So you probably yes, I have 1,200 followers, which for not tweeting, I just read, is pretty good. Yeah. But 900 plus are probably inactive 100% of the time.
Yeah.
So it's I probably actually have 50 engaged followers on there.
Fair enough. Yeah. When I had we've had a couple of big publications or big interviews and stuff that's happened with certain agents, and then they're like, well, we're like, okay, so what's your next step? Who's the next person you want to interview, or you want to be in front of? And they're like, oh, well, this person. And it's like, okay, let's just start putting this stuff in front of that one person.
Well, I've done that with the show. I'm the preferred supplier for Royal LePage Canada. And that came from getting Phil Soper on the show. But before I asked him, actually it was with Chuck Charlton. I did an episode with him, and I targeted the episode to the Royal LePage head office for 2
I love it.
Before I asked Phil to come on the show. And Chuck was like, hey, yeah, I saw that you had Chuck on the show. That was great. I would love to be on. And I was like, great, I'm glad you saw it.
So good. I love that. I love it.
It's such a fun way to do it. We do that with basically anytime I want to make sure a specific group of people see something. Yeah. I just target their building.
No, it's perfect. It's it's and it's the least expensive thing to do.
Yeah. Well, I even overshoot the budget purposely and still don't spend it. I was speaking at the AREA Reality Conference last January, and I set my budget for the 3 days of the conference, the convention center, for $200 just so I could outbid anyone. It spent $27.
Yeah.
But for a 800 person conference, I had an 820 people see it.
Yeah.
Basically everyone saw
it.
Yeah. $27. And
perfect.
Sponsorship at events are $500 to $20,000. This is much cheaper.
Yeah. And probably more effective.
Oh, and it's not even close, especially if you're at the conference.
No, I know.
I also do it though for events I'm not at, if I know the speakers. So if I know the message they're saying, I know if Gary Vee speaks at a real estate conference, he will say the words, if you don't do Facebook ads, you're an idiot.
Yeah.
So then I will run an ad to that conference center being like, don't be an idiot.
I can help you some Facebook ads.
Yeah, like this hyper-targeted ad right now.
So good. So good. Well, I mean, and honestly, even for agents who aren't really good at Facebook ads or anything like that, the amount of opportunity that I think people are missing even just on organic social media is massive.
Oh yeah. Well, it's because most people don't post with a plan, right? They just kind of post and then I don't know, I'll add some hashtags to it and see what happens.
Yeah, you gotta love that, right? Like the Facebook post with the 50 like the 30 hashtags. No, I mean, I think a lot of the time too, and this is something that kind of like irks me a little bit about brokerages and trainings and things like that most people are getting. They're not actually being told the basics. Like so many agents just don't understand the basics of who are you speaking to? What do they need to hear? This is not all about you. And I think too, like there's this concept of I'm going to show people that I have business to get more business. And that just, first of all, that doesn't work. And second of all, people, and I said this to someone the other day, people move every 3 to 7 years. If you don't give them a reason to follow you the rest of the time, you're going to have a lot of audience churn.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter if you were the greatest realtor in the world, they're probably going to unfollow you after they see your just listed, just sold 500 times in their feed.
Yeah, like that's what like Chuck and Melissa Charlton we were talking about. Like that's what I love about theirs is like their email is for that, but it's opt-in only. Like you have to opt in to get real estate listings sent to you. And like it works so well for them on that front. But like their social, like they put more personality into it.
Yeah.
Which is really what you want. Like I always like I wish I could take credit for the first time I heard it. It was a speaker was saying like if you could slap someone else's face on your marketing and it still makes sense, then you're doing it wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's kind of the approach I'd always been taking, but I just wish I had thought of saying it that way.
No, it's actually great. And actually Melissa posted in our members Facebook group this morning. She's like, I'm getting so many people who are telling me that I write so beautifully, but we teach everyone in our program to write at a grade 4 level.
Yeah.
And she's like,
Hemingway app to help us?
Yeah. And she's like, everyone tells me now that I write so beautifully. And all I want to write back is I write like a grade 4.
Yeah.
But it's true. Like we, everything that we do is 100% geared towards attention spans of what people have while they're on the platform, and, make it as easy as possible for someone to follow you and say yes.
Yeah. Like it's not an overly complicated thing to do social well, but it's hard to do it well.
No, for sure. And I think that there's this idea of, so we teach 3 different main content buckets, right? So, yes, we get a lot more granular with people in our programs. We actually go down, we go through 9 different types of content, but like the simplified way of doing it is authority value content, personal content, social proof. Those are the only 3 you need. Rotate between the 3.
So for agents who don't know examples of that.
Yeah.
I mean, social proof, I think, is pretty obvious for people.
So social proof is going to be case studies, testimonials, and PR. Not just listed, just sold. But for like an authority content, like obviously all of this is only applies if you've niched down. And if you've actually you have a target audience, you have a target demographic that you've spoken to, that you're speaking to, you've done market research for, you understand their pains and problems. Now, with that being said, authority content's actually not that hard to come up with. It's just answer the questions that you get from your clients every day.
Yeah. The one that I tell people is like the 10 most common questions you get is your first 10 pieces of content. Then do the 10 questions they should be asking, but they don't know to ask.
But they don't ask you. Yeah. And well, 100, and then it's answering questions, giving value. Like if you're going to do a market report, and Ara does this really well, he doesn't just do a market report. It's like homes are up 3%. People don't know what that means.
Yeah. Use real numbers.
Use real numbers, and actually and the line he uses that I think is gold is, this is what this means for you.
Yeah.
People want you as an expert to actually distill the information and explain to them what it actually means for them, like make it relevant to them.
Because anyone can share the board stats.
Everyone's just screenshotting them, changing the branding on them in Canva and shoving them online.
If they change the branding.
Yeah. So there's the authority content, which is, pains, problems. We actually teach a signature process. So everybody who goes through our program has their own signature process that's named, branded, marketed alongside their name.
I love that. I always recommend that. Like you need a name for your thing because it also seems unique to you.
For sure. And then from the personal side of this, the personal content is going to be personal beliefs, personal philosophy, personal story. People need to know whether or not they can know, like, and trust you.
Yeah.
And do they resonate with you? Right? Like, so I get so many people who come to me, they're 21, and I get it. They're 21 and they're like, I want to sell luxury. And I'm like, I'm sure you do. Let's get you started with something that's actually going to be people who are going to resonate with you. Because if you've never sold a home and you're 21 years old and you want to sell $5 million property, that's going to be a very hard niche for you to break into right off the bat. You have to work your way up to that. Who's going to resonate with you? Chances are it's going to be first-time buyers. And then those first-time buyers are going to turn into upsizers.
You upgrade with them.
You keep moving with them as they grow.
Yeah. Like the one I always I talk about a lot, and I even talk about this on stage, is because you mentioned know, like, and trust, is what bugs me is when speakers talk about it like it's one word, like one thing.
Know, like, and trust.
Yeah. And it's it's not a one-step thing.
No.
First they have to know you. I always use the example.
Then they like you. Then they trust you.
I like this show as an example of you will know me and probably like me, but watching me get drunk with someone won't make you trust me with your business. There has to be a next step of authority building and expertise outside of I got drunk with someone I found interesting.
And we just chatted about whatever we felt like.
Yeah, literally this show, I just say whatever I want and make it happen. Edit out anything embarrassing, then put it up.
So good. So good.
Yeah, but I'm annoyed at the know, like, and trust as a single word.
Well, and that's the thing too, right? It's, I think so many agents are just going for the no.
Yeah.
Right? It's just visibility for the sake of visibility. And, I had a conversation with someone the other day and I was like, are you running Facebook ads? They're like, yeah, of course. And they don't work. And I was like, really? And she's like, yeah, I boost posts all the time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's not running a Facebook ad.
I get so much attention now because I just go hard on never boost a post. Oh, I think you're froze.
Oh, I'm back.
Yeah. I was just saying, I always talk about this of do not boost posts.
No, we specifically teach people not to.
I remember I did one meme in a marketing, and it was you've probably seen this similar idea of it's a pie chart with a little sliver and then one big one. And it's blue and yellow, and it's should you boost a post? No. And then the other one is no, but in yellow. And that's share that out. That's all. You don't do it.
No, don't do it. Yeah. No.
Stop. I always get this question in Facebook ads training, all right, how should I boost the post? I'm step one, don't.
Yeah, it's so frustrating. I'm like, you just honestly might as well just give Facebook a bunch of money.
Yeah, I refer to it as the Zuckerberg Foundation.
Yeah, just donate it. Yeah. You're gonna. It's the same thing.
Yeah,
and I think it's so sad that that's really what so many of them are being taught. Even they go to brokerage trainings on how to run a Facebook ad and they get taught how to boost.
Yeah, I actually saw an ad. So someone sent it to me. Actually, it was 2 days ago. He's like, I didn't know who I could send this to because I didn't want to publicly make fun of it. I was like, good instinct.
Don't publicly make fun of people.
Yeah. And it was a guy who took a photo of his sold or for sale sign on his kitchen counter. And then that was his ad. There was no text with it. He literally just took a photo of it, propped up on his kitchen counter, and that was his ad. But the funniest part is there was 94 reactions to it. And almost all of them were the laughing emoji.
Oh no.
I feel bad for you. You're probably loving it because of all the action you're getting, not realizing what's happening.
And I think there's so many people who are like, oh, Facebook ads don't work because they're boosting posts. They're boosting random stuff with no follow-up, with no targeting, with no retargeting and no nurture in there. And then they're like, oh, it doesn't work. Well, there has to be a journey here.
Yeah, I actually talk about this in my presentation. It's I have a graphic where it's a mountain of lead gen of climbing the mountain, and you get to the top and realize there's the big mountain behind it, which is conversion and follow-up. It's when you get just to the top, you're like, oh, that was so hard. Oh wait, that was the
oh wait, yeah.
Well, I just got up this little one.
And yeah, I've only climbed this little tiny one. And I said to someone the other day, I was like, look, anyone can generate leads.
Yeah.
And they were like, what?
That's easy.
I'm like, honestly, anyone can generate leads. It's getting that person from lead to client.
Yeah, that's the entire challenge. I even talk because for some clients, we generate leads for them. I'm like, that's the easy part.
That's the easy part.
The
hard part is the rest of it.
Especially if you have listings. If you have listings, it's a cheat code for leads.
Oh yeah.
Every $1 to $3, you will get name, email, phone number if you want it. Yeah. And that's anywhere in North America we've tested it, $1 to $3 max.
Yeah.
but that's nothing.
But the hard part is the rest of it.
Yeah, like, there's actual talent on that side. Like, I would actually, Ara is a great example. I use him in presentations. Like, we had a client, we got him 1,000 leads over a 6-month period off his listings, didn't get a single deal.
Yeah.
Exact same campaign I did it for Ara, who got 6 deals on his first 100.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah, because he has systems.
It's because he has the systems behind it. He has the content creation. He has the online presence, and he nurtures them.
And the one that I noticed with him that time, which was the first time I had seen it, 'cause it was a couple of years ago, was at a certain point, it was like 130 leads in like 48 hours. And he made us turn it off because he's like, it's going to break my system because I can't follow up the way I want.
Yeah.
If you keep leads coming in. So he's like, we paused for like 5 days so he could catch up and then turn it on. I'm like, no one else I've seen.
No one else would ever ask you that.
Yeah, because he's like, he needed to fix his system to handle the volume.
So good. It makes me so happy.
Oh, I love when I find someone who like does it that well, of like, he has it so dialed in that you know exactly what's needed there.
No, I mean, I talked to him a couple days ago and he was like, I need more help with follow-up. He's like, there's leads that aren't being nurtured the way that I want them to be. And honestly, that just goes to show how great the service is actually. And I've actually used Ara personally.
Yeah.
I had a condo downtown that I'd bought, and I decided I wanted to assign it. I'm licensed, my mom's licensed, and I still hired Ara.
Well, he's one of those guys, like, he knows that area. Like, my wife and I, at one point before we bought it up here, almost bought down there. And I remember like messaging him about some Leslieville houses. And there was not a single house I ever sent him a message about.
Know exactly what you're talking about.
But had also been in it. It wasn't just he knew it, he had been in it and was talking about like, oh yeah, I was in that one yesterday. Here's what it is. And by the way, here's what it'll actually sell for. And I think every time,
and he's always right.
Okay, yeah, like within 10,000, he was right.
He knows his stuff better than anyone. And I think also like that's part of really truly being an authority, and that's why his content resonates so well too, because he knows what people want to hear, and it's not fluff.
Yeah, I like to joke with him. He's the only agent I've ever seen get away with using an eggplant in their marketing.
He got a lot of flack for that one though.
But it worked for him though.
It worked. No, it totally. But that's the thing, is he knows who he is. And he shows up online, in person, no matter what, fully authentically himself. And it performs well for him. People are human lie detectors. They know when you're not telling the truth or you're being fake.
Yeah, it was like we were saying earlier, like if you can put someone else's face on the marketing, like you can't put anyone else's face on it.
Could you imagine?
Yeah. Just wouldn't work quite the same way.
No. And that's the thing, right? Like he has a unique voice and it works for him. And it's the same thing for anybody else. Like there's huge teams out there that are just burning money. And it's just because they haven't found their voice, and they haven't actually, I think a lot of it comes down to they haven't interviewed the market. They've done no market research and they're creating in a vacuum.
Yeah. And there's a lot, like we've actually onboarded a couple of teams lately where we're taking over their like organic social too, which we actually, until last year, I refused to do organic for people. But then I found a process I actually liked where we interview them over Zoom, and it'll like, say you like, take Leslieville and be like, I'm going to interview everything in your head about Leslieville, get it transcribed. And now that's the content based around like your knowledge of that area. I'm like, once I thought of that idea, I was like, okay, now I'm willing to do organic.
Well, and I think too, like a lot of the foundational work that we have people do is interview their ideal client base. Because like, I'll say to someone, okay, so moving's not fun. Why is this like, what are the biggest worries? What are the biggest fears? What are the desires? And they go straight to transaction. And I'm like, no, people don't like, that's just the transaction. What about the actual human side of what's going on? And they're like, a lot of agents have never really sat down and thought about, why are these people actually moving?
Yeah, it's like when I get a new client, we do a strategy call, and I always ask, who's your ideal client? And I will say 80% of the time, the answer is the same. Oh, I'll work with anyone.
Yeah.
Like, that's not the question. Like,
no, and that's why there's so many billboards that you see out there that are like, I can help you buy, sell, invest, lease from here to Timbuktu.
Yeah.
And basically all you're saying is you're not actually specialized in anything.
Yeah. Like I got down, I remember I actually took it as a point of pride when I sold an agent. I was in a listing presentation against another agent, and he told the sellers, "Oh, Andrew only works with first-time home buyers, so he can't sell your home." And like my first reaction was like, "That son of a," and then I was like, "Wait, my marketing's really working.
My marketing's really good."
Great." Like everyone realizes I'm specializing. That it was first-time buyers and sellers. Like that was my niche at the time. Like I'm just going after them.
He
That's
can't
who I
help
am.
you.
Yeah. Like, yeah. No, I'm not going to take your $800,000 listing.
Yeah. I don't know how.
Yeah. No, it was like when I did the Facebook ad to the gym when I was coaching basketball, like one of the messages was like, I see that you're an Aurora guy. Like we're a Newmarket in Stonehaven. Would you be able to actually sell our home? I was like, I can handle Stone. So if people don't know Newmarket, you would. Stonehaven's like 5 minutes north of Aurora, and it's basically Aurora. Like there is no border between Aurora and Newmarket, really. Like it just continues into the same town.
So funny. Well, there's and you know when we hyper targeting works really well, but if you're looking for like a broader reach, we don't niche down in terms of location.
You can't anymore. Well, real estate.
No, well, you can't anymore. Not well, but I mean, we've always taught people it's demographic over geographic.
Yeah,
because
we don't actually do a lot of targeting outside of like retargeting. We go heavy on.
Yeah.
But they actually like normally it's age, somewhat location, and exclude agents is actually the majority of our like cold audience targeting. And then like once in a while, like the odd time we'll add in some other stuff, but like age, location, and exclude agent.
That's all you really need as long as the messaging is right in the ad.
Yeah. Which is why like special ad categories for us hasn't impacted results. Like
it hasn't changed anything. Yeah. We've been running, I mean, we work with like 60% of our client base is in the US, 40% is in Canada. And I remember when all of this was rolling out, we'd had it in the States for 6 months. And so we were like, oh, no problem. Literally just the trainings from over here, we're just now going to move them back into Canada.
The only annoying thing of the change for us, which I didn't expect. So there's one thing I didn't expect, which was I forgot they ban all your old ads too.
Oh yeah.
And I got 500 notifications that first day. And then like for the week after, it was like 100 a day of them catching up. And I'm like, I hate my inbox.
These aren't even live.
Yeah. Like I turned these off a while ago. So like now I'm just like, just for people who don't care about seeing their old ads, just delete them out of your account.
Just get rid of them.
Yeah. Like, yes, you can go through and update them if you want to keep them there, but that's not a good use of your time.
No, just get rid of them. Yeah, no, we did the same thing. And even like we had to get manual reviews done on a lot of my ads.
Let's do.
Because they don't fall under the special ads category, but the bot was catching them.
Yeah. So all Just Sell Homes gets caught under that. And then we do the Roy LePage ads for recruiting nationally.
Yeah.
And that got flagged for employment ads, which is not true.
It's not the same thing. Yeah.
So what we had to do there was switch the word career for business.
Oh, okay.
Switch career to business. They all got through again.
Got it.
So it was like, and that's what I've right now. I'm still testing in real estate is like, where can I run real estate ads that aren't special category? By changing the language so they don't get flagged. Because like a seller ad shouldn't really be included in it.
No, I agree.
And when you look at the rules, that's the seller side's very ambiguous, and you should be allowed to do it. So
they still flag them.
But it's impossible to like write a good seller ad that doesn't use real estate or home in it, or like
it's impossible. Yeah, you can.
Yeah. So like we've been like employment, it's easy. Career to business. Yeah. Simple. I'm done. We've been trying to like find creative ways to say it without saying it, and we haven't gotten there yet.
If I think of something, because we're like, if I think of something or I come up with anything, I'll let you know.
Yeah, because I keep testing every now and then of like little things. Because I have a few clients who let me like guinea pig them, where it's like I don't even have to tell them I'm doing it. I'll just like I'll get an idea. Like I have a client in Barrie, and I got an idea for an ad one night in bed. Like I was lying in bed and I got an idea. And it was like a 300-word ad.
Oh, wow.
I actually love this idea. And basically the ad was like, we have buyers left over from last year who didn't find a home. But then I wrote down every objection someone would have to the we have buyers thing and then answered it in the ad.
So good. How did it do?
Epically long ad. And we got $12 a person opting in.
Wow.
Like, it was great. But I never told her. Like, I wrote the whole ad, I launched it, and then I just sent her a link and said, by the way, this ad is live in case people
are messaging you about it.
Yeah. She's like, yeah, I've already had 2. I was like, perfect.
So good. I gotta run pretty soon.
All right. Well, then we will wrap it up pretty quick, and then we'll do a part 2 once we can in person.
I cannot wait to do it in person. Well, you know what? We'll have you over. We'll crack open a really nice bottle of wine.
So I don't drink wine. I know.
Fine. I will crack open a nice bottle of wine. We'll get you a very nice beer, whatever you like. We can do like champagne.
I can manage champagne. Like, we can go fancy. Like,
let's go fancy.
Yeah. Like, I can do, when I got engaged, I had to have so much champagne that eventually I just kind of developed a taste.
Let's do it. We're going to have a fancy bottle of champagne, and we'll hang out in the hot tub or by the pool.
Perfect. So, like, if it's like the Charlton one, we can do it in the pool.
We can do it in the pool, and we can do it anytime. The pool is inside.
Oh, even better.
Even better.
Make it work. Yeah, that's the convenience of doing. So, well, actually, we should do something together when the world opens up again. I want to do more Newmarket events just so I don't have to leave Newmarket.
Let's do it.
And I do them in 2 places now. So one is HBH on Main Street. They have their private room.
Yep.
The other one, renting out Cineplex during the day. It's not expensive, and it's the best AV you'll ever get.
Have you ever been inside Event Market?
Back when it wasn't Event Market.
So have I, back before it was Event Market. It's a cool space, though.
Yeah, I haven't. I assume you can rent it out now.
Yeah, I assume.
Yeah, it's called Event Market.
So maybe we'll try something out there.
Yeah. So we'll just do a co-brand.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. It'll be good when we can do it in person again.
Let's do it.
And then I do an event in Collingwood. We'll come up to our event in Collingwood. Basically,
I'll be there.
People come and we drink for 2 days and then do a couple events.
I'd love to.
We'll see when we can do that. I normally do it in July. This July seems like it might be a little too early.
Soon. Okay, fingers crossed.
All right. So if people want to get a hold of you, how do they reach out? How can they get a hold of you?
Yeah. So Facebook group, which is just facebook.com/groups/The Listings Lab.
Perfect. And we will put the link, depending on the platform, here, or here.
Somewhere. All right. Sounds good.
Yeah. Perfect. Thanks for coming on, and stay tuned for the next episode. I don't know who the next guest is because I'm still reaching out to random people, but by the time this airs, I will know who the guest is. So thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you guys all next week or month.